Okay, so let's get back in here with Imperator Rome here with the Invictus mod, and I'm gonna like to get into military at this point now. So in the game, like much of Paradox's other games, we have our military, which are land units, and naval units. Currently, our naval units are in here at port. I will select the first navy here. So there's a lot of buttons on the screen here. So currently our navy here is a one light ship. And it's not necessarily the best ship. There are higher level ships you can get later on. You get different technologies to be able to build more of the ships. Currently, I can only build the 2 lowest levels. They're also the cheapest. Later on through the game, maybe if you want to, you can get some of the higher level ships. Each ship has a positive and a negative against other ships. So we've got a couple mediums. There are 2 heavies, 2 mediums, and 2 lights. And they are good at different things. We go to my first navy here. Now the thing with the Imperator Rome navies and armies is they will have a tactic here that they will select. Generally, the AI is pretty good at selecting the tactic for you. You don't, if you really want to get into it, you can select your tactic when you choose against another when you're about to go into battle. But they are different. They provide a different bonus depending on which tactic you have. So in the Navy here, there are 5 bonuses. So example, as our a frontal assault tactic here, the shark here, would be really good if the enemy fleet is using the harassment tactic. Not so good if the enemy fleet is using the close rank tactic. So if you can, kind of know what your enemy is using based off of maybe a ship type, because at the moment with my current Navy composition of light ships, my frontal assault gives me, a better effectiveness, or maybe a harassment or probing is better, depending on which it is. So you can choose what that does. You can also have your ships do different missions here: slave raiding, capturing ports, port assaults. We can do ramming tactics, boarding tactics. We can create new units, just like whatever. EU4 and Crusader Kings. But there's less on the Navy. We won't worry too much about the Navy. We're gonna be worried about our armies. So armies in this game are split into 2 types. We have our levies and our legions. Levies are what we can just call up from our population. Legions are a standing army. You have to have a certain laws to be able to enact them. Legions are basically what Rome uses. And the main difference is levies, other than, just having to raise them, and legions are on all the time, is levies are made up of your population. So, depending on your population, depends on the composition of your levy. So if I go to my culture, we're in the Arabian culture group, and our primary culture, Sabaean, has this as our levy composition. So we've got 10%, 10%, 15, 20, 20, and 25. So roughly it'll break it down to, when we raise up our levy, 20% will be archers, 20% is light cavalry, 25% should be light infantry, 15% spearmen, 10% heavy cavalry, and 10% camel cavalry. So this is our composition. Each culture has a different composition of what their levies consist of. So for example, let's go up to the Ptolemies here. For the Ptolemy here, we've got a Bulgaric culture here. Now they've got no archers in theirs, but they want a lot of light infantry in their culture, culture group. Or, for example, we'll go to the Uxian here. They have 45% archers in their levies. So, depending on which culture you have, depends on what levies you'll be able to get. So here's my current levy, ran by my ruler here. So we'll raise the levies. So once they're raised, it's gonna cost money. It's gonna, our manpower is gonna get used, and it's gonna take away our research points, because our population is this. If this loses very, very badly, we could actually lose population in our city here, or in our province. So as with the Navy here, we've got our, different groups here. Here we've got our subunits. We've our composition down here. But here are our different actions that we can choose. But like I said, the AI is usually pretty good at choosing one of the tactics here. Each tactic, of course, has a positive and a negative against other tactics. So you can manually choose this if you want to as well. In battle. And we've got different actions we can choose to have our unit do. One of the things that's really great about legions or levies is they can build roads. Unfortunately, we're too backwater to be able to know how to build a road is. But roads will facilitate moving across your nation faster and provide better trade. And once with our nation up, or our levy up here, we can have it do desecrate holy sites, root out pirates, create we can attach drilling, force marching. So you can have it drill, and while it drills, you really don't want it to have it fighting. But it's expensive, but it's a way to get them into fighting shape, just like an EU. And with we'll gain some monthly experience, and monthly experience, or military experience, which can be used for traditions. So we can use this military experience and to buy traditions for our troops. There's quite a lot of them in the game. You have access to them for your culture. So because we have Arabian culture, we have access to the Arabian traditions and also the Nubian traditions. They're both available to Arabian cultures. So Nubian here, they're really good at. They got ships and archers and war elephants. Versus the Arabian here, we've got camel riders. Just as a middle thing here, a bunch of commerce, light infantry, and then we've got more ships. We get a free navy here. So it costs 80 for each one, and then once we unlock it, we are in that tree. We are in the Arabian tree, or we're within the Nubian tree. So depending on how you want to play, depends on which tree you want to take. So for example, Nubians here, they've got a lot of archer stuff, war elephants, horse archers. But with our levies, we don't actually have too many archers. If I go back to my culture here, only about 20% is archers. So it's It's okay. It's okay. Camels are unique to any nation that produces camels as a resource, along with elephants. And I believe there's also horses, which are divided into horses and riding horses, which for war, which is like the steppe hordes. They'll provide a different type of horse for using bow and arrows. So yes, we can, if we wanted to, we can go down the Arabian tree, and we will gain, our camels will be better. So each type of unit has a bonus and a negative fighting against someone else. So archers here are not good against heavy cavalry and light cavalry, but very well against everything else. Our camels here are good against everything but spearmen and war elephants. And they each have a different maneuver, an army movement speed, and how much food they consume. So heavy cavalry consumes quite a bit. But they also provide quite a bit of a bonus as well. When you are in war, whoever is controlling the general of your levy or your legion, they will gain the loyalty of their troops. If those characters end up being disloyal and civil war is against you, those troops will not be called with you. They will be used against you in the civil war. So be careful of how well your armies do, and with the general in charge. Now, with your ruler in charge, you won't have to worry about it, because you will always have the ruler on your side in a civil war. You will play your nation, not the breakaway. But just like in the other Paradox games, the units will move across the settlements here, and siege down the provinces. When you go to a province, you don't need to individually siege down each settlement. All you have to do is get the head of the settlement, the leading place for the province. Once you have that, the rest of them will slowly come under your controls too. Kind of like the opposite of getting a fort. If you've got this whole area, for example, occupied by enemy, they've taken my capital, and I go and take my capital back, the zone of control will eventually take all this back for me, just like their other Paradox games. So that's one note to keep in track. You don't need to worry about carpet sieging like in EU4. That's not necessary. Just take the local province capital, and the rest of it, the whole will fall. And I think that's what needs to be covered for military. I mean, of course, just like the other games, you have manpower. If you use up all your manpower, you won't get your troops back. And just like the rest of them, there are mercenaries you can hire. One of the things that the mod does is change these standing mercenaries. You can find them throughout the map in different areas. Change it so if they're not hired, they have this gray color. The base game kind of has it like this brownish red, which normal terms is green troops are friendly, red troops are bad. And then you have this brownish red color where it's like, are they against me? I'm not sure. You can also go into the mercenary tab here and recruit troops, recruit mercenaries, naval and army. And depends on their total strength and how much maintenance it costs, just like in the other games. you always want to make sure you pay your mercenaries. Because they could switch to the opposing side if the opposing side has money, and then now you're facing your previous mercenary army. Once you have your levies raised here, you can disband them. Once they are disbanded, as we click here, you cannot rehire your levies for a short amount of time. So be careful when disbanding your levies if you're about to go to war or anything, because you won't be able to get them back. At that point, you may have to rely on mercenaries. All right. I think that covers military and mercenaries and like a beginner type thing for this game. So we'll continue that this series another time.